You are watching KAVU 25, News Now at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on 25 News Now at 6. I'm Adarius McCormick. The independent administrator for the Luther Hotel, Annie Ruth Jones, has not given a clear confirmation for demolition. The Texas Historical Commission says they will not take any action until they receive this confirmation. Since speaking to Jones, any plans with the hotel are now null and void. The hearing for June 22nd has been postponed. The Palacios Preservation Association will host a fundraising event on June 24th for support. At least 15 people are injured after a mass transit bus in Baltimore collided with two passenger cars. Baltimore police say on Saturday morning, the MTS bus first struck a Lexus in an intersection, then collided with a Nissan before plowing into a building and stopping. Between 10 and 15 people were taken to the hospital, two possibly with life-threatening injuries. There was no immediate information about what caused the collisions or whether the bus driver is among the injured. The Maryland Transit Administration police say they're actively investigating the incident. Kentucky State Police are investigating what appears to be a triple murder-suicide. Law enforcement received a 911 call and showed up at a residence Friday morning to find four bodies, identified as 15-year-old Chloe Little, 34-year-old Ashley Little, 58-year-old Luther Combs, and 78-year-old Missouri Gross. Investigators suspect Ashley Little shot the three others before turning the gun on herself. There's no word on a possible motive or what the relationships were between the victims or the possible shooter. Two planes of migrants were flown from Texas to California. Now they say they were lied to with promises of work and shelter.
The streets of Sacramento is a dream come true for this 31-year-old migrant. But the first time she set foot in the California capital, she felt confused, angry, and betrayed. Unfulfilled promises, says the migrant who asked not to be identified for legal reasons. It was in a shelter in El Paso, Texas, where she says two men approached her with the offer of a lifetime. A paid trip on a jet to California and the promise of a job and housing.
She said they offered her a job, so she was happy and signed.
This after she spent 2 months traveling from her native Colombia to the U.S.-Mexico border. She describes the difficulties of the jungle, the train, starving, sleeping on the street, begging for money.
Es lo peor, porque sientes que llegaste a lo más bajo.
She is emotional and says it's the worst because you feel like you are at your lowest.
The offer, in the end, was too good to be true. But it was made to a total of 36 migrants who traveled on two separate charter flights.
Cuando llegamos acá, ni empleo, ni casa, ni dirección de vida.
When we got here, we didn't have a job, nor a house, nor direction in life, said this 34-year-old Venezuelan migrant who was part of the first flight. The migrants are at the center of a political battle over immigration policy, with Republican governors like Greg Abbott of Texas and Ron DeSantis of Florida sending thousands of migrants from Texas to Democratic-led cities.
Acá no venimos por política, acá nosotros venimos por trabajo.
We didn't come here for political reasons, we came here for work.
But he says he wants people to understand their suffering and their desire to work.
Somos seres humanos, tenemos sentimientos.
She says they're human beings with feelings and families.
As Texas faces more severe weather this weekend, one community is just beginning to recover from this week's tornado disaster. At least 3 people were killed in the Panhandle community of Perryton. ABC's Mariah Villarreal has more.
Big tornado, holy smokes!
Overnight, the community of Perryton, Texas, reeling over their loss. A massive tornado crushing the small town, destroying over 200 structures and killing 3, including an 11-year-old boy. Good Samaritan Tommy Kerbel describing the moment they found him.
We found the kid. Mom was screaming, crying,
Kerbill returning to one of the hardest hit neighborhoods to help families affected by Thursday's devastating tornado. Fire Chief Paul Dutcher and his crews working around the clock to keep families safe as they start to clean up.
We're all rolling up our sleeves and we're getting out here and trying to do what we can for the citizens.
For residents like Julio Garcia Mercez, the help can't come fast enough. His family of 8 hid in this small bathroom, emotional as he describes how their home collapsed around them, thanking God they all survived.
Now we'll check in with First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Mr. Howie Gordon. It was pretty hot outside. We're seeing some severe weather with this heat. Howie, what's going on out there?
Well, we have high pressure, like a blocking pattern, really not letting any storms in, trapping moisture and allowing lots of sunshine. And with that push down effect, this is what the result is. Excessive heat warnings, heat advisories. Why? Because here's what we're doing. Look at this. We were 118 degrees a couple hours ago here in Victoria. We've cooled down a little bit to 109, but look at this. Still 105, 110 plus pretty much across the viewing area. This looks to keep on going. We might get a little relief, though, later in the week. I'll talk more about that. The area is coming up in my full forecast in just a little bit.
Thank you so much, Howie. Some residents in Houston and the Houston neighborhood of Denver Harbor are on a fixed income. Sometimes they can't afford to pay for a good air conditioning system or bear the cost to keep up with energy bills. Now you'll get a glimpse into their lives as they try to stay cool in this extreme weather.
When it's this hot in Houston, not even the haze clouding the city skyline can soften the heat and humidity. On the northeast side of town, Miguel Sanchez tries to find some relief as he sits in the shade on the porch of his home of more than 40 years. He says the heat is unbearable and it feels like our summers are only getting hotter every year. The 87-year-old didn't get much sleep. His only air conditioning unit broke overnight. His daughter came to the rescue this morning to install a new one. Just a few streets down at the cooling center in Denver Harbor, some of these seniors are dealing with similar problems.
So it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. It gets real hot.
Some of them tell us they're on a fixed income and can only afford a small air conditioning unit. It's not enough to cool much of their home.
And then when we open that door to go to the bedroom, you feel all the heat coming back like you open the front door. So we're all actually confined to one solid area.
No, we don't turn on our ACs because the bill is too high.
For now, these neighbors are getting by in the extreme heat, but they worry about what's going to happen next if things get worse.
Scared to lose my power.
Here's your viewer poll for this afternoon. Scan the QR code on the screen to vote now. Are you concerned with your energy bill? Yes or no? It looks like 84% of you say yes and 16% of you say no. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate, and we'll have an update on 25 News Now at 10. For more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com. Don't forget to submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Ostrain and Trey Mining will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise. You can also submit a local military hero so we can recognize them. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, President Biden made a trip to Pennsylvania after the I-95 bridge collapsed.
I'll read those for you if you want me to, Darius. But yes, very much on the hot side, and it's not even the 4th of July yet. We'll talk more about it coming up in just a little bit.
in Pennsylvania today following the I-95 bridge collapse. He received an aerial tour of the site aboard the Marine One. Severe weather in the area caused a brief delay in the reconstruction. Governor Josh Shapiro saying they will have I-95 open within the next 2 weeks. Dr. Anthony Fauci has a warning for us that while COVID cases are way down, a new variant could quickly change that. Fauci spoke Saturday at a university in Italy. He said the world needs to remain vigilant to control and manage COVID so it doesn't quickly mutate into variants that current treatments and immunities cannot control. Fauci said the likelihood of that happening is not known, but also not impossible. He said he agrees with the World Health Organization's assessment. The virus is no longer a global health emergency, but said it will take diligence for it to stay that way. Another scary incident out of the water shows the moment a boat capsizes, prompting an impromptu rescue mission from a fisherman.
A dramatic rescue caught on camera. Travis Brady and two of his friends were fishing for red snapper in the Panama City Marina Friday morning. That's when the weather took a turn for the worse.
Within 15 minutes, we were in 5 foot, 6 foot waves.
As they were calling it a day, heading back to land, they saw this boat
oh my God,
going adrift.
That boat, look at that thing, is going to capsize too.
We went out ourselves, tried to assist with their rescue efforts.
Okay, looks like they've got somebody.
The boat capsized, debris scattered across the water, and then a man in another boat jumped into action. Here you see him jumping in the water without hesitation. Brady says he busted out the window in the boat and got the people out.
He's the true hero of the story. He, without hesitation, was just in the water helping those people.
Brady and his friends then helped get them back to shore, 3 from the houseboat and another person from a nearby pontoon. Selfless acts of courage, all to help strangers.
It restores your faith in humanity, makes you really reflect on the things that are important in life. I'm gonna try not to get emotional, but it was an intense moment that, ultimately, I'm just going to say it came down to God putting us in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, we will. We'll catch it for us.
Brady then helped the man who saved the distressed swimmers get back to shore, people helping each other, a good ending to a bad situation.
Glory be to God, man. He put us in the right place at the right time. I've never been super religious, but today was just a super eye-opening moment for me, and I just feel like divine intervention puts you in the right place at the right time.
We want to invite you to experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon, Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV, and on your cell phone. Just search Crossroads Today Plus.
We'll talk heat wave in just a moment. All right, hot and humid. What else is new? Heat warnings. That's right, and excessive heat, heat advisories as well as excessive heat warnings. Possibly cooler though later on in the week. All right, 96 today, but 118 with the calculated heat index value. So yes, very much on the very, very hot side. 101 back in 1934, and that's just the ambient temperature. We were 118 with the heat index. So Cuero, here we go. Blue skies, mostly blue skies. A little bit of moisture moving into the area. We got some boundaries to the north, but high pressure pretty much controlling things. Those boundaries are adding some moisture, some low level that is. At the same time, helping out with the winds, which I'll go over in a second. Here we are. So yeah, some decent winds. Why? High pressure pretty much keeping the atmosphere in check. But with those boundaries over there in North Texas, yeah, that little bit of a tug and a pull. We're getting some winds in that 15, 20 mile per hour range. And those little bit of a breeze, hey, that's very much welcome in these parts, as hot as it is. So excessive heat warning, temperatures 115 degrees and above. You see away from the water, pretty much excessive heat warnings across the board. That should be allowed to expire around 7. That could keep going if it stays on the hot side. Then you have heat advisories closer to the coast. That's 105 or higher with the heat index, or 100 degrees for ambient temperature. So on the coast, heat warnings, or heat advisories. Way out there, heat advisories in the middle of it all. Here we are, excessive heat warnings with temperatures of 115 degrees or warmer. All right, dew points. Look at this, in the 80s. Oh man, all that moisture, high dew points. Yes, very much the uncomfortable phase that we're dealing with here. And summer officially is still a few days away. Ooh, this summer's going to be a hot one. So here's what we have here. 108 over in Carson City, 116 in Gonzales still. I told you a couple hours ago, at about 3:30, 3:50, we were 118 degrees here in Victoria. We've cooled down a little bit, but still, I mean, does that feel much better? Still 105, 110 plus, pretty much across the viewing area when we talk about the calculated heat index value. And here's what we have to look forward to, or not to look forward to. Look at this. But we do have some relief. We start to cool a little bit, maybe by Friday, maybe down to 105 or less. Potentially as high pressure starts to slowly move off to the west and release its grip just a little bit. But here's what we have. High pressure hunkered down. What does that mean exactly? It's basically a shield, a bubble or protection, diverting storms from moving in. Now, also high pressure, what is it doing? It's pushing down. That is a warming effect on its own. At the same time, keeping cloud cover at bay, allowing the sunshine to warm us up. And then low-level moisture that's trapped in the atmosphere, that adds to the heat index value. So you add the sun, the heat index value temperature, and that's right, stifling hot temperatures, 115 plus, but maybe later in the week, potentially, the highs might give up a little bit, maybe weaken a little, or start to move further out of the area. That has a chance then of giving us some cooler conditions. All right, marine forecast. Here is what we have. 81 for the water, seas 3 to 5, going to keep our bays on the choppy side. Here's what we got. Okay, it's still early, but when we get out of the way here, yeah, this storm down there in Vest 9211, 92L, we don't know where it's going exactly yet. Still premature, still early, but hey, I'll let you know what's going on. Overnight, 79 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Those clouds will start to part by tomorrow. 101 degrees, heat index value of 115. Looking ahead, not too much of a deviation compared to what we've been showing you for days. Look what's going on. Still very much on the hot and humid side, 120 plus, potentially with those heat indices. All right, for more weather, news, and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com. That is free with any Android and iPhone. And now we go to sports with Zach.
Yeah, Howie, and speaking of hot, the Generals try to stay hot and push their winning streak to 5. I'll have that coming up in sports. Well, the General season has had some wild ups and downs. After losing its first 3 of the year, they won the next 3, followed that with a 4-game losing streak, but going for their 5th win in a row last night. Score tied at 3 late. Rougarou, a lead-off triple, but the next batter trying to drive in a go-ahead run out at the plate to keep the score tied, but in extras. The Rougarou would come up big when they needed them the most. They win 5-3. Here's what head coach Michael Oros said after the game.
We went down 3 early. We fought as a team, came back, gave ourselves an opportunity in the 8th and 9th inning to take the lead, and unfortunately we didn't come out with the victory tonight. I think we'll be okay. You know, we played a really good game, a clean game. We just didn't come up with the big hit at the right time.
You can catch them back in action this Sunday against the Seguin River Monsters. The Flash, better known as Refugio track star Ernest Campbell, competed in the Eugene, Oregon at the 2023 Nike Outdoor National Championship. The Refugio native competed in the 6th heat and ran a 10.73 second time, but still winning his heat. In the final race last night, he could not crack the top 5. His time was a 10.6, which was better than his heat race, but still not as good as his state championship time, where he ran a 10.22 second time, and that time would not have been good enough for the gold. Now his focus shifts to football, where he has been upgraded to a 4-star recruit. Victoria East faced off against Lovejoy yesterday in Katy as part of the exhibition TABC tournament. They fell 48-44. Star sophomore Avery Valentine led the way with 11 points, followed by Chloe Buckner and KK Cleveland with 7. Legendary West Virginia basketball coach Bob Huggins in some hot water. Huggins, who started as an assistant in 1977 and has been head coach of the Mountaineers since '07, arrested for a DUI. The 69-year-old has already been suspended the first 3 games of next year for using a homophobic slur. No word on what West Virginia will do with him just yet. TCU and Oral Roberts, what a game one. The Horned Frogs trying to hang on to a 3-run 9th inning lead. The Golden Eagles, though, able to scratch out a run to cut the deficit to 2. 2 men on, 1 man out in the 9th inning. A 3-run homer is going to put the Golden Eagles in front. It's going to ignite Oral Roberts' dugout, and their Cinderella story continues. They win Game 1 of the College World Series 6-5. Game 2 tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Fun stuff in Berlin today. The 2023 Special Olympics underway. This is the torch run to get the event started. Lots of great athletes from all over get to showcase their talents and represent their countries. It also gives marginalized individuals a chance to grow. And one sports book is now allowing betting on the Special Olympics for the first time ever. And if you are a betting man, hopefully you bet on the Rangers to win, not the Astros. Just going final for both. Texas beats Toronto. The Astros fall to the Reds. That's your sports. Darius, back to you.
Thank you so much, Zach. Keep it here. Coming up, you can find out what's going on this weekend for Juneteenth. Grab your cell phone and scan this QR code. This is our quick response code to download the Crossroads Today app. You can watch us anytime, anywhere, get breaking news alerts, and vote in our viewer polls. Submit news, tips, and photos, and you'll know all about our ongoing contest. The Juneteenth event continues for its 49th year in Port Lavaca. People from around the country came back to their hometown this weekend to celebrate Juneteenth. The coordinators of the event are thankful for the outpour of support. Port Lavaca plans to party until the end of this weekend with music, food, and fellowship. Catch the festivities at Bayfront Peninsula. Now, I went out there with Mac, and we almost melted. It was so hot. I know you were outside at a game with a suit on.
Yeah, I wore a suit, you know, trying to look good on TV, and all the Generals players laughing at me like, man, you're going to sweat through that suit. And I know Mac was probably out there just beside himself.
Oh, no, I know he definitely was.
He should have known better. He's a meteorologist.
He told me it was going to be hot, you know?
What kind of food you guys have out there?
Oh, they had all type of stuff. Burgers, hot dogs, they were just on the grill all day.
Probably could have cooked them on the sidewalk. It was so hot out there.
Pretty close. People have tried that over the years. Not quite, but yeah, pretty close. And you know, if you do look at some of these slides I'm showing you here, yeah, you would think so. 116, it might take an extra hour, so yeah, you might be able to cook that out there. But we hit 118 earlier today in Victoria. We're down to 109 now. Some spots still 113, 114 plus. So it's so much, very much still on the hot side. We had extensive heat warnings as well as heat advisories. They should expire at 7 if they continue. I'll let you know right here. Overnight, 79, so right around 80 degrees. Still mostly cloudy. Some clouds will form. But then by tomorrow, those clouds will start to thin out. But look at that. 101, heat index value, 115, and probably then some. Still a little bit on the breezy side. We'll take those winds, whether it feels like a warm hairdryer, at least a little bit of movement makes it feel a little more tolerable. Looking ahead of the rest of the week, I don't know if there's much of an improvement. Yeah, that's Happy Father's Day for tomorrow. But then 120, 122 for our heat index. Is this Phoenix? 120 degree temperatures. So yeah, we're staying on the hot side with potentially a cool down later on. A little bit of a cool down. I don't know if it's noticeable, but a little bit.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Catch us back here at 10. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today.